Alright, so as the service manual says, to get into this cockpit, you must first begin removing the rear view mirrors, which isn't too bad. They're right here. I honestly feel like getting different mirrors. There's no way to tighten up this looseness that I'm aware of. It's just some kind of weird retaining clip pin, and it's just gotten loose over time. There's no way to get it to stiffen up. This one seems to be better, and now that I got this whole side fixed here, basically this wiggles way less than I noticed this one. And honestly, I get the plastic deal right here, but that probably could have been something different. They were just trying to hide those ugly nuts, but they probably could have made something more like the RS. I believe the RS has different, skinnier rear views, and I got to fix it because it breaks. It's a bummer. It breaks right here where it hooks on. So basically, when you get it on there, it's supposed to hook there, and then as you're riding, it falls off and it just starts doing that. So that's really the only thing that I don't like about these mirrors. Alright, as a side note, I really do need to get myself a new drill setup. Like, I have this old thing that was handed down to me, and the batteries are just dying, and the thing's huge and clunky, and I just want one of those nice, little hefty deals. Zip, zip, zip. Those you definitely build up a lot of arm muscles doing that manual wrenching, right? Normally, the service manual says to remove the lower windshield screws right here, but just the way my setup is broken, as you can see, I've got an extra zip ties here. Kind of like it, gives it characteristics. I do call this bike Toothless Fury, after one of my favorite Pixar animations, or DreamWorks, I can't remember. Anyway, 955 cc's, 118 braking horsepower. Definitely not toothless. It's just, an ironic use of words, as it's used in my favorite movie. So, Toothless Fury. It's blue, not Black Fury, but definitely looks like toothless. It's just something, always wanted to ride dragons, always wanted to fly. That's a whole, fantasy element in itself. This just gets me the closest thing on the ground to flying on the back of a dragon. If I can get some wings on it, I can certainly go fast enough to take off, but, landing would definitely be something else. But yeah, let's get back to it.
And things are definitely a little tight here in the Grab Tech garage. We've got a corner over there, probably 4 feet by 5 feet by 6 feet tall, full of nothing but old age classic or golden age classic sci-fi books. They've just been sitting in boxes for the last 10 years. Basically inherited them, didn't want to throw them away, wanted to set up a cabinet. They don't have any acid staining, everything's just fresh. Some really sweet classics in there. But that's taking up space. Car takes up most of the space. I can pull it out when I work on stuff, but I'm working on it as well. So, yeah. I just realized Disney will probably try to sue me for wearing my favorite shirt and sharing this video, so I may have to get something to blur stuff out. We'll see. I'll probably post this video and get them ragging me at some point for representing, or at least, somehow not making them money, right? I didn't really have enough. But, those are opinions I should keep to myself, probably. I don't know. Things are getting really weird these days. Kind of feel like we're in the corporate dark ages. That in itself is a whole different story. And I may keep this up enough. Come on, no! And again. Alright. Okay. Probably start a drinking game when I say frickin', or a whole different story. In itself, it's probably just a never-ending story.
Okay. So, Yeah, I mean, I honestly, when I'm working on this bike, I should probably pull Hermes out, but you know, it's like I love just having everything in here that I'm working on. It reminds me of what I'm doing and keep track of everything. I actually, a little side note, was able to do my first, you know, custom stitching, custom steering wheel in a sense, because the way the original steering wheel was, is the upper part of the foam was peeled off. And instead of just trying to get a new steering wheel and putting the badge back in it and stuff, I decided to just work with the way the steering wheel was broken, gave myself some little thumb spots right there to fit my thumb into it. It helps, I don't know, it's like a stabilization thing. I can rest my arm on my knee and just stick my thumb in that spot right there, and when I'm on the freeway, and it just locks the wheel in, and it just gives some uniqueness to an old wheel. That's a whole nother story. We'll get to Hermes at some point. So the next step, obviously, on a normal cockpit, which has all its plastics, it's definitely going to be a lot different, but as you can see, just with the mirrors and just these little zip ties right here on the side, this thing is just about ready to come off. But the next step after the rear view mirrors and these two screws, normally, as the service manual says, you need to remove the trim right here on the inside of the windshield.
Always freaking misplacing my tools on me. Alright. In case you're wondering, one reason why I say frickin' a lot is something that my uncle taught me. Didn't want me swearing. It's an intensifier. Frickin' is, you know, not that much farther away from the other word. I don't know if I can say on here. I don't know if kids are watching. Or if there's any squiffy parents watching. But, you know, frickin', it's an intensifier. And at this point, I misplaced the tool. So...
Alright, you know you're losing your mind when you lose your tools right in front of your face. But right now, this is the only thing I have for hexes at the moment. Oh, man, these, yeah, this right here. Just got that glued back in, it cured right, and it still busted itself up. So I'm just glad everything else is holding itself together, but this is another reason why I really don't like plastics. It's because they're just always snapping and breaking on themselves. At least I can get into the glue here and see what it's like. Let's see, maybe it failed in doing something in the application. Maybe I should have used a wax and degreaser. But gotta do that again. Gotta get that sealed in there better, and just so that everything's, you know, the way it needs to. At some point I'll just be buying a whole new freaking cockpit. But it's just the way it is. Yeah. Trying to see if this side held itself together. Yeah, it looks like it did, so that's not too bad. Got this fixed here pretty good. Somehow failed on this one down here, but I think it was just taking extra torque as it was wiggling and pushing against the instrument panel here. Alright, we should be in. Okay, yeah, this thing, it seemed to have some rubber gaskets down here. I've got to look at the exploded view again, but it just also seems to rest in there. However the case, I honestly wish I could, or wish I had enough money and time to afford just a whole new conversion and get this thing down to a basic headlight and some instrument panels and stuff. So, you know, it gives it much more naked look. It'll take away from the dragon look. That's the only reason why I'd keep it. you know, call me childish, but, you know, I wish I could fly on the back of a dragon. This is the closest thing. But, you know, in all my pissing and moaning, you know, I'm still just learning how to fix it, learning how to keep it together, because, you know, life doesn't offer you new items every time. I'm just super happy to have what I got here. Right, there's a trick to this. There we go. Oh. You've got to disconnect the turn signals. It's step 4, I think. Okay. And there she blows. It's kind of like a danger, Will Robinson. Danger. But yeah, there's stuff done to this before I even got it. Somebody busted it up and they were friggin' pretty brilliant, you know. Didn't mess with the externals too much, gave it kind of this nice extra look here. But they totally did some aluminum work, and, you know, I'm going to pretty much replicate that if this goes on me. I replaced these plastic nuts with actual metal hex nuts. And I kind of like the look better than those flathead plastic bolts that were being used. I understand why they're being used, because the plastic wasn't interfering with the finish or the paint job, where these, you know, obviously wear at the paint job when you tighten them down. But at this point, the last thing I'm worried about is a paint job. Anyway, this will go up here. So we're in. This is going to get welded up. Just a temporary fix. I did take an old busted up screwdriver and I cut it up and fit it in there as a securing rod and stuff like that. And I was able to heat it up with the torch that I was able to purchase and get that bent into shape. There's obviously still some wiggle room, but that rod holds it in there really good. Eventually I'm just going to break right back into that, get this all chiseled off, and just weld it like I should, because, you know, just don't have access. Like closest access I have to a welder or to a friend with a welder is like 45, 50 miles away. It's quite a jump. Humboldt County basically can be stretched out pretty good. Eventually I'm just going to go to Harbor Freight and get myself my own cheapo frickin' welder that'll just do basic mild steel jobs for me. Nothing too heavy duty and stuff, because it's not only repairing things that I'm interested in. I like fabricating and building. Just waiting for good ideas. Now I've got a few of them. They've already happened, but there's just I found that you either have a lot of time and no money, or a lot of money and no time. And just wish I had like a lot of money and a lot of time. Anyway, these are busting out. For some reason, I mean, I'm probably going to have to redevise a new way to get this instrument panel secured in here, because I'm sorry to say, Triumph, but the way you mounted this stuff in here, somebody probably over torqued it, but it just, this plastic, the way this is mounted into the plastics don't hold. Especially if the bike gets a good slap on its side. I think at this point, I'm just going to see if I can find a new plastic, I don't even know what to call it, a shroud. The instrument panel plastic that holds all the instruments. Hopefully that won't cost too much. Probably these days thinking between $30 and $50 depending, but haven't looked at that. This is normally where some of the screws are retained, but just the way this got busted before I got a hold of it, these aren't in use when you take the cockpit off for me. So it's kind of, you know, it's kind of good that, you know, I can get the cockpit off easier, because may have been riding for a long time, but still pull those rookie moves every once in a while. I just don't know what it is. Just can't get it entirely out of my system. This right here is busted. it holds in the headlights. I was able to get it to be a little bit more firm, but somebody rigged up this little wire deal where I don't know, it's been through 3 owners since me, and the one who took it on as a project, he didn't write it really. He didn't put it in his name. He just thought he was going to do something with it, and then before he even got it into his name, he realized he needed space in his garage for other projects he wanted to work on. And that's a whole different story. So at this point, I'd almost rip this back off, but I think I can see it splitting back here a little bit. But if once I get this off, I'm just going to try to refix these, just get some more freaking marine epoxy on there. Just, but you know, honestly, if anybody knows of any epoxy besides JB Weld that's super good, I know JB Weld does its job, but I know it heats up, but I need something that really like kind of molecularly binds itself into the plastics that is joining together. Like, because I know the JB Weld heats up, and that chemical reaction can help soften the materials that it's binding itself to. But definitely needs something that does much better adhesive than Gorilla Glue. And at this point, the marine epoxy is doing well, but the marine epoxy I'd say is more for doing seals and things like that, like I did with the gas gauge sensor. But yeah, just I don't know, if you got an idea, I'd appreciate it. So at this point, there's just 3 bolts, 1, 2, and 3, and then 2 clips, and that whole instrument panel just comes right off. It's a little bit of a tight fit, but they made sure you could get in. Alright, I'm pretty sure I can get more time out of my phone, but it only wants to do 10-minute segments. So just to make sure I'm not wasting my time yammering on while it's not being recorded, just gonna use this freaking leash. Like these Bluetooth watches, you know, cellular watches are convenient. It's Galaxy S2, goes great with my Galaxy devices. Didn't think I'd like Samsung so much when it comes to cell phones. But often it feels like it's like kind of like a house arrest collar. You know, it's like, oh, just another way to extract information. Makes it convenient for me, but it's not always convenient. You know, they say, you know, what do you give up for convenience? Anyway, got some long life. What I don't like is I gotta go somewhere else. Right now they fit, but they only come in 14 volts. I know that these for the gas gauge are supposed to be 12 volts. The 14 volts works, but I believe it just runs them dimmer. Like, because the panels don't seem to light up as well. Anyway, I'm going to get those installed, and then we'll call it a day.
Okay, these are 8 on the back. I do like the instrument panel setup. It's nice, easy access into devices. Honestly, you think I should put some thread lock on these because I have a little bit of that, and I don't like how loose they are, especially how much the front of the bike does shake. Alright. Oh, I forgot those washed on there. Nope, that was the rubber piece. Yeah. Nope, there. Alright. Nice and easy. Easy peasy.
So, it's the RPM gauge. I really like the white and the red. I like how clean it looks. But it's pretty convenient. Just pull this plug here. I currently don't want to have one in it at the moment, but you just pull that out, get your bulb in there, and your panel's back to being lit. It was okay having the speedometer, you know, lit up. You know, I could gauge the bike, you know, the bike's RPMs by its noise and, you know, familiarity. But this will be way nice having some light at night on my RPMs. So I can do it right. And then I'm going to hunt down some 12 volts. Service manual doesn't mention any specs on the bulbs that I can tell. I'm going to dig through it again. And through the electronics section, it lists everything, it shows it all, but it doesn't say, oh, it takes this type bulb, you know, what are these ones? These are 74s. So yeah, it doesn't say, oh, it takes 74s, 14 volts. Honestly, I should plug it in and test those two connectors. Crap. All right, I'm gonna do that. Since I have it out. Anyway, we're just gonna basically say I didn't break anything. And yep, 69, everything's reading out okay. I just at this point need voltmeter. Okay, we're just praying that it says 12 or 14. We're praying that it says 14. 14, 14, 14. It's like, give me a 14. I don't have any finer connectors. Let's see what we got. Ooh, warmed up by the lamps. Toasty. Okay, only 10.7 volts. So it feeds it, but that's definitely not a 14 volt. I definitely need 12 volt bulbs. So right now, I'm just gonna keep the 14 volt bulbs because they light up. They shouldn't mess with the system because the only thing the system can't do is just fully power them. So the only thing that could happen is that you're like kind of browning out the bulb a little bit. But you know, they're $5 for the set. Certainly not worrying about busting some bulbs. Bulbs aren't going to cause damage to the system. The system can only damage the bulb, and the bulbs can just be replaced. So it's a bit better. I did a 1.1 watt. It's not bad actually. I did a 1.1 watt, and this is a 1.3 watt, 1.4 watts. All right, 1.4 watts, not 1.1. So I'm definitely getting some brightness. Why is it flickering? Oh, son of a. All right. One way to possibly fix that is just to get these little pins in the bulb out. Just kind of move them out a little bit, and then stick it in there and let the clip press it down. I may have to try to squeeze the clip with some pliers. All right, that's better. Yeah. Okay. No, I still don't like it. It's still flickering too much. All right. Okay. I'm just gonna do this because the manual always says disconnect battery, disconnect battery. And maybe I'll learn my lesson, but so far I've only learned that most of the time you don't have to worry about disconnecting the battery. Don't take my word for it. Okay. Can I get that? Let's see. Okay, that looks like just a couple of clips. I can reach in there with something tiny and just kind of bend them out. So I'm gonna go do that. Sorry if I'm getting too close. But yeah, tight space, small garage. There's the classic sci-fi stacked in the back. It's golden age. One day I'll just have enough time to just sit there and chew away at some books and get those read and stuff. Got a radio stack, laptop, tied into a system, some outdoor speakers my dad scavenged. Somebody just threw them away like they were trash and they work perfectly and stuff. Yeah, I've got space. Just kind of shuffle things around. You know, put the car at angles, pull the car out at times depending on how much space I need. But, you know, as long as I can squeeze in there, get a jack underneath things, You know, the interior of Hermes is certainly looking way better than the exterior right now. But yeah, anyway, can't wait to start sharing Hermes here. Like, and I got some videos of him driving, and you can just look up 4WS on YouTube. There's plenty of other videos. I just want to share some of the stuff I learned, help some of those other 4WS lewd enthusiasts and stuff.